Well, there is a question that millions of Indians are now asking. How soon will petrol and diesel prices go up? For context, India has not revised fuel prices in 4 years, not once since the year 2022. Now, for a while, India did enjoy getting the discounted Russian crude imports that kept India's oil bill lower. But even as crude oil prices began to surge globally in the wake of the West Asia conflict, the prices at petrol pumps has so far remained frozen. But that freeze has come at an enormous cost. Estimates suggest India is losing as much as 1,000 crore rupees every day as the country avoids passing higher input costs to consumers. But now, for the first time, the government has started to say out loud that the pause cannot last much longer. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi set the tone earlier this week, asking Indians to cut fuel use, avoid unnecessary foreign travel and delay gold purchases. Several voices have stepped forward to tell us what may be coming next. The first came from the country's central bank. RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra has said that if the West Asia turmoil continues, India would have to raise retail petroleum prices. Now, even as the government absorbed rising petroleum prices, India's inflation has risen from 3.4% in the month of March to almost 3.5% in the month of April. The April monetary policy meeting kept interest rates unchanged but flagged the Iran war as a direct risk to both inflation and growth. Now, the next meeting is scheduled for June 5th. The governor's remarks suggest the central bank is watching fuel prices very closely. Increase in petrol and diesel prices don't just have a direct impact on your wallet. They even hit you indirectly, with transportation, logistics and food prices all taking a beating. Meanwhile, Union Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri defended the government's record on fuel prices, but he did say that the scale of what is holding those prices has cost. Now, India's oil marketing companies, Indian Oil, BPCL, HPCL, are all currently absorbing losses of roughly 1,000 crore rupees every single day.
How long will the oil companies be able to take it? Frankly, that's something that worries me. I mean, there have been times when the oil companies have done exceptionally well till recently. But the rate at which we are going, this 1 quarter of losses may wipe out the entire profit after tax of last year, which was what, about $28 billion or something, if I remember figures correctly. It can be wiped out. Now, all right, you can say companies will make money, companies will lose money, but no, these are good corporate citizens. They are taking a loss in order for the consumer to be insulated.
Now, under recoveries have already crossed nearly 2 lakh crore rupees in the first quarter of 2022 alone. And the Union Petroleum Minister there suggesting that potentially a price hike will come in some time. Now, into this conversation stepped Uday Kotak, the founder of Kotak Mahindra Bank. Kotak's warning cuts to the heart of the issue. The shock, in his words, is coming, and it is coming big.
We have not seen the impact in the last 2 months of the Middle East war in terms of energy price transmission. It's coming, and it's coming big, and the consumers have not felt the pressure at all. And think about a consumer with limited income having to spend more directly on fuel and indirectly on other items for fuel, or dependent on fuel. The shock is coming. We had old inventory. We had the ability for oil companies to be the shock absorber. And it's a large amount of money. Therefore, I don't think you're very far away from the shock, unless, and this is where I don't have an answer, and I suppose none of us have an answer, or probably if there is anybody else in the world who has an answer, unless Iran war stops tomorrow morning. And we have been hoping for it from February 28.
And with no real signs of the Iran war stopping tomorrow morning, at the same CII forum, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal offered a note of calibration. He said Prime Minister Modi's austerity message was a wake-up call, not a pullback. Now, Goyal's message to India Inc. was direct. The government is not closing the door on global businesses. Travel for trade, bring in investment, pursue export orders. What needs to slow down is non-essential consumption, leisure travel, excess fuel use, avoidable imports. Now, the distinction matters. India cannot afford to throttle its own trade momentum at a moment when it needs foreign exchange coming in, not going out.
Minister said is not stop business travel. I find it so ridiculous when I see some of the very frivolous comments made on social media. They don't recognize what he has talked about is consumption expenditure, leisure expenditure. Please go all over the world for your business. Spend money to get more money. Get more foreign exchange into the country. Get investors. Get export orders.
So are export orders coming or not? And is that big debate, the fuel price hike, coming or not? Well, the RBI governor says it is a matter of time if the war continues. The Petroleum Minister says India's oil companies are bearing massive losses to keep prices unchanged. And one of India's top financial voices is warning that the shock hasn't arrived yet, but it will. The question is no longer whether petrol prices will be hiked, it is when and how much the ordinary Indian will be asked to absorb.